Okay, we are broadcasting the meeting.
Great. Okay, good. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I will call the meeting at 9:07 a.m. First off, do we have anyone with public comments? I know Ryan mentioned there's a few people that may have some public comment. Do you know if anyone's on here to speak, Ryan?
Yes, we have Virginia Bernal, who's a resident.
Great. Virginia, do you like to speak?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for letting me go first. I didn't expect
problem.
I expected to be here till the end here.
Well, look, we don't want to waste your time. So if you want to get off after, you can.
I'm interested in what you're doing, so it's interesting. Anyway, yeah, my name is Virginia Bernal, and first of all, I wanted to thank you for the work you're doing in our downtown. I am a volunteer with Citizens Climate Lobby, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that mentors civic engagement to build support in Congress for a national bipartisan solution to climate change. Extreme weather events are happening with increased frequency and ferocity, as we all see today. Here in California, we're seeing drought conditions, record-breaking fires, and rising seas, which we can see in Balboa Island. Climate change denial is waning, but people are still reluctant to talk about the problem. Climate scientists have identified the cause, and thus our country has a range of solutions. Our members of Congress need to hear from us, that we want them to take effective action, and that's why I'm here today. I ask for your consideration as individuals or as a board to show support for congressional climate action generally, or more specifically to support the policy that Citizens Climate Lobby has been advocating for years, which I will describe briefly, time permitting. As individuals, you can contribute a few words of support in a virtual postcard. We're collecting these to deliver them when we meet with our member of Congress in December. As a business entity, your board and local business owners can sign your support easily using the website, whose link I will add in the chat. I think I can do a chat on this, right?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. If not, I will email it to you.
Yeah, but if you could send everything to Ryan, he'll make sure to get it out to everybody. No problem.
Great. Okay. It is an informative website and includes a page to state your support. So you can dig into the detail, as much detail as you want, and add your support if you feel compelled to do that. So in a nutshell, here's the policy for which we're seeking support. We need federal policy that no longer permits polluting of our atmosphere for free. It's doing too much damage. Citizens Climate Lobby advocates for a carbon fee and dividend policy contained in the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, HR 763. Our most reputable economists recognize this policy as the most effective way to transition away from fossil fuels and into renewable clean energy. It would place a fee on fossil fuels at their source, increasing every year so that it is predictable and anticipated. The revenues would be returned to American households as a monthly dividend to spend as they see fit. Most households would come out ahead because lower income and middle income families have the lowest carbon footprint. It would be an economic stimulus for the community. Help us by adding your voice to ask for congressional climate action solutions. I would welcome a larger conversation with you on this. Please check this chat or the email, as it may be. Thank you for your attention. I hope you will choose to use your voice for the benefit of business and for the safe climate future for our young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Virginia. I appreciate your comments. And as Ryan mentioned, if you want to pass along your information to him, he can pass it along to the board. And it's up to obviously each member to decide how they feel and want to go with that. But we're happy to just disseminate it and share it. But
thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Okay. Any other public comment? Is there anyone else, Ryan, that's on here?
No, that's going to be all for today.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. If we can review the minutes from last meeting, everybody, from 7/29. Basically, the only action really was the approval of the $5,000 equipment and event barricades. Just so everyone knows, those came into great use, and we were able to get a lot of bang for our buck, if you out of those, and we're continuing to do so. So I think that was a great decision by the board, and I know that the merchants are very appreciative downtown. With that being said, can we get a first to approve the minutes, or does anyone have any questions?
I move for approval. Nestor.
Second, please.
I second.
All in favor? I can't see everyone here, so all in favor. Hopefully, Ryan, you can see everyone. Hold on. All in favor, please. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes passed. Thank you very much. With that, we'll go to the clean and safe report. Jose.
Nothing really new to report. The team is out there every day from 7 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, picking up trash, cleaning the streets, power washing the streets, alleys, cleaning all the parking meters. For us, for the team, it's very important to be very visible. We want all the visitors to downtown Santa Ana to see us, that we're cleaning, that we're sanitizing, and that we're getting downtown Santa Ana ready for anybody who wants to come. And also, I noticed that since businesses are reopening or have been reopening in the last few months, the break-ins or vandalism to properties has gone down, of course, because then there's activity inside the building. In the last back in April or May, June, when a lot of businesses were vacant, people were finding their way in, breaking into stores, either through the front or the back of the building. That's gone down, at least what we have noticed. And of course, the team out there is the eyes and ears of the police department. As soon as we see something, we immediately report it to the PD, and of course, they immediately send somebody to take care of the situation. So that's all I have to say about the clean and safe report. If anybody has any questions, please reach out to me.
Any questions on clean and safe?
Just a quick one, about graffiti, especially in that alley where the farmer's market and stuff is. Has that been improved at all? You see less graffiti?
I've seen, graffiti, it's got its, how can I say, trends or seasons or days of the week. Of course, we see a lot more graffiti over the weekend. Kids out there late in the evening and, vandalizing, painting walls. Unfortunately, I have not seen a decline on the graffiti, but we immediately report the graffiti. As soon as we see it, we take a picture, we report it via the app, and the contractor that the city hires is pretty efficient. They remove the graffiti within 48 hours, sometimes even the same day. When we report graffiti in the morning, they get to it sometime before they leave. But unfortunately, I haven't seen a decrease on graffiti. It's basically the same amount of graffiti all over downtown in the usual places, which is on the alleys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, clean and safe wise?
Yes. This is about there's been a lot of events lately at the Blue Lot, and I noticed that after large events, there's a lot of trash in the neighborhood, like just litter, and it doesn't seem to. The organizers of the events at Blue Lot don't seem to clean up beyond Blue Lot, and I'm wondering if someone could talk to them.
Absolutely, yeah. We definitely have a plan. We got to meet with all the organizers, and of course, absolutely, you're right. It's not fair to have an event, regardless of who's the organizer. It's not fair to have an event that will leave trash, in the area. You're absolutely right. We'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Anything else clean and safe wise? Okay, we'll move on to the financial report.
All right, so I'm going to start, and then Tish may have a few comments, and also Ryan Smoller is going to have a few comments. I want to say that what a difference 7 months makes. Back in mid-March, early April, when businesses were ordered to shut down, honestly, I thought we were going to lose most of our funding. I didn't think that we were going to get funding from the parking revenue for both the merchant fund and or clean and safe. And also the bid account. The bid account is funded through business license renewals. And of course, businesses were shut down. Businesses were not renewing their business license. So I thought we were going to be in really bad shape. Well, here we are 7 months later, and it's big difference. As you can see on the bottom of the report, on the revenue side, the bottom, Last September, last month, we received almost $44,000 from our bid assessment. We didn't receive anything in April, only 6,000 in May, 11.5 in June, nothing in July, nothing in August, and I was really worried. But hey, we got a big deposit in September, almost $44,000. And so far, we have already received almost $83,000 from the bid assessment. We usually receive around 100 grand. It is never a set amount because it depends on how many business license renew. But we're very close to receiving 100% of the funding. Also, the next line down, Merchants Fund, we already received 100 grand for this year. Again, back in April, I thought we were not going to get any more funding, but I'm happy to report that we have received 100% of the funding for merchants revenue. The same for the Clean and Safe program. So I mean, it has made a big difference, and the fact that we have the funding from OCTA, of course, that had assisted and has helped a lot. Keeping our accounts in the positive. You're welcome to review the report. If you have any questions, please email me or Ryan Smoller or Tish Leon. And we're in good shape. We have a good amount of savings in our checking accounts. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, let us know.
Any questions on budget?
Yeah, I have a question. The money that that has been budgeted that we haven't used because of the pandemic, is that just going to carry over, or are we free to move that money around to use it in somewhere else?
Both. It carries over to the following year, and we have some flexibility on how we use the funds. Of course, we need to communicate to city staff. They need to approve if we want to be shifting money from one account to another one. As long as they approve it, we're okay. The few times that we have requested that, they have approved it because, of course, we submit a proposal, we submit a report, and justification for moving funds from one account to another. But yes, the answer to your questions is yes from both, and we will carry the balance to next year's.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the budget? No one? Okay, well then with that, we'll move on to the city report. Julie.
Actually, Ryan,
Oh, sorry.
we have
Ryan, you had something?
few more sections in the budget section.
Apologize.
That was our year-to-date budget that Jose shared. And then we thought it was important to share around this time of year, the city usually requests a categorical budget from us so they can start the process of bid renewal for next year. As you know, we go to committee in November usually and then get renewed in December. And this year, instead of the usual kind of categorical budget, there was a request for us to submit a line item budget. So whereas we didn't make too many adjustments or almost no adjustments to the categories, we did have to put in what we assumed would be the line items under those categories. And we did that based off previous expenses and some of the core programs. Make sure that you were aware of that you had a chance to review this. And if there were any questions, that we could start to work on any adjustments in the future for these budgets.
Does anyone have any questions regarding this?
So we were looking at two budgets side by side with different titles. I'm missing something. Can you throw that back up there?
So, and these were sent in the Dropbox packet so you can look at them wholly. But essentially, we turn in two budgets to the city because there's two contracts that we have with them. They're basically a split half of the same budget. So the budgets are a mirror of each other. They're just different revenue sources. So the one on the left comes from the business tax, business license taxes. The one on the right comes from the parking revenue share that we receive.
Okay, it makes sense. But you've got two sources of funds. You presume that they'll both give you 100 grand. And so you show them the expenses against that by just taking all your expenses and multiplying by 50% and putting that to each budget. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
To add to that, though, there's also the OCTA budget that's separate from that. So there's
Okay.
really three different funding sources right now, if that makes sense. But from a standpoint of what goes to the city, it's the 200 grand and it's the split 50-50. What we're voting on in the later in the meeting is two items that are both coming from the OCTA budget, if that makes sense. So it's not applicable to these budgets. Basically,
Understood.
the idea is with the OCTA money, it's for kind of capital expenditures or things that are kind of outside our current budget, if that makes sense. All right, Mr. Smoller, anything else?
Yes. So also the third fund that Ryan just mentioned, the OCTA fund, we turn in a quarterly report to OCTA on how we've used those funds for the last 3 months. And so I just wanted to breeze through. This is the most recent report that was submitted to them. It's in you guys' packet, and it highlights some of the details of the fund, but also some of the work that was done with OCTA funds this last quarter. So there's our online video programming, which features a ton of local businesses, our online music shows, which feature businesses and spaces. There was the event equipment that has allowed for a lot of businesses to pop out and for some of the construction equipment to look attractive. There was the banner project, which we'll be talking more about, that Gene Jimenez helped us out on First Street. So if you haven't driven down First Street on the side of downtown, go check that out. We also had the coronavirus come and visit our businesses and engage them on safety and hand out free downtown masks and sanitizers. We've started downtown Santa Ana Farmers Music at the Market. So every Tuesday at the Farmers Market, 4 to 7, there's a music act. And this is just more of the details of where those funds went. And we're still working on spending this money. We've spent about 30% of it, but for this year, but some of that is reimbursable by SABC. So it's probably more like 20-25%. And then I'm going to be probably getting into some of the projects we're working on later in the meeting. But so this report is there for you guys to see it. It even goes down to like a line item level.
Thank you, Ryan. Does anyone have any questions on that? And again, we understand that some of this stuff to just over a call and digest. If you need to review it, again, Ryan sent all the details over. If you have any questions after the fact, you can ask any of us and we can further clarify. Okay, is that everything with the financials?
Yes.
Okay, now Julie, city report, please.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thanks
Good
for
morning.
the time. I just wanted to report on two things today. One of them is that I was approved a request for additional sanitation in the downtown area. And this is being conducted every week where they power wash the alleyways. They do extra power washing of like Broadway and certain streets that have a lot of need. And then they're also power washing the parking structures every week. For example, the parking structures haven't been power washed in 6 years. So the fact that we're getting them power washed every week is a big difference and a big deal. So that's one update. The second update is that I was recently also approved for $750,000 to construct parklets, including some sort of custom built for 3rd and Broadway. That'll include Chapter 1 and Copper Door and some of the artists. So I'll be working a little more closely with the two boards and all the different businesses that have that will get a parklet directly in front of their business. We're in the design phase. They haven't provided me with any of the specific information yet, but as soon as I get that, I'll share. But this is all good news, especially because of my experience on Monday morning when the winds were at their peak. I literally was boots on the ground, moving banners, moving barricades, getting cones lit on the street. It was a disaster. And I'm so glad that we're going to get this money to build parklets with wood decks and furniture and sails, and also include tenting for when the cold weather starts to come in. We might consider doing some more secure roofs like wood roofs, but that falls in line to a structure, and we might have some challenges with that. So what else can I report? I just want to give you guys a little snapshot of the revenue for the parking meters and the parking garages. Overall, there's about a 30 to 40% decline in revenue in both the garages and the meters. But slowly we're seeing an uptick with the parking garage revenue. And so hopefully that just continues and we get to, capitalize on that revenue. That's the report that I have for now. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Julie. Does anyone have any questions for Julie?
Yeah, I do. Are these going to be like permanent parklets now? I mean, I know because of the pandemic and, they had to start eating outside, but is this becoming a permanent thing?
Great question. They can be long-term, but they're not considered permanent. They're considered temporary and removable, which is nice. I'm also going to work into the contract where we can modify the build out. Like, let's say, for example, the Coffee Muse. Coffee Muse is a coffee shop that's on the south side of 4th Street. And there's going to be tracks put in construction and more things. So that parklet will be very, very temporary, and I might be able to modify it at a date. However, right across the street is Bird and Barrel, and they're on the north side of 4th Street. Their parklet, I'll design it so that it's more permanent, more durable, because there's not going to be construction that impacts that one. We're hoping to keep them for the long haul and see how it goes and, revisit it. They're durable. They're like a 2-year, 3-year durability, but they're removable if needed. They're not bolted into the ground. I think that's the desire of some of these restaurants, is to make outdoor dining an attraction.
And I think bigger picture, I mean, frankly, I've been pushing for parklets for 10 years downtown. So I think we need to take this opportunity to leverage that and use city and federal money and build as many as we can. Because I think if you look at other downtowns, they've been doing parklets for a long time. And I think we're trying to catch up at this point, honestly. So whether or not they stay for COVID or whether or not they stay permanently, I mean, I'm advocating to stay permanently. But I think the more activity on the street is better for everybody and better for our businesses. So that's my humble opinion.
No, I totally agree. Now, are these just for the restaurants, or are some of the stores going to also be able to put their things out there?
They would be considered public space. So anybody can use them. Obviously, there has to be some coordination because the restaurants will naturally use them daily. But I'm hoping to extend the use to merchants, events, vendors, things of that nature, maybe even partnering a restaurant with the retail store that's right next door.
Or an artist, you could do an art show outside. You could do music. Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to program these things. Part of the challenge, obviously, the COVID is limiting the too many people, but I think that the big picture is to activate these and again, not just be for restaurants, but be for merchants, be for artists, be for everybody. It's kind of the way I look at it.
That was my concern, because obviously the restaurants are getting a lot of the attention, which I think is great. But, it's the merchants too that need the help. So I'm hoping that they're, going to be included. And one other thing is that we're always obviously losing the revenue from the meters. So what's the deal? How are we making up? Are the businesses helping pay for the meter loss, or just how does that work?
I'm going to use this 6-month trial. Once the parklets are built, I'm going to use a 6-month trial to identify what the loss of revenue is, and identify how we can recoup that use. It might be through special events. It might be through business license fees, because whenever there's vendors that come from other locations, they have to pay a business license fee. So we might be able to capture it through there without having an additional cost. I want to attract folks to the downtown. There is going to be a revenue loss and we'll have to identify that. But I'm working on that budget to get things off the budget that we don't need to pay for. So I'm also balancing it in other ways.
Hey, Julie.
Julie.
So go ahead, Tish.
No, I'm finished. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to echo what Tish and Ryan said. I think this is a great project and everything. My only comment is permanence. And, you know, I think Ryan Chase kind of touched on it. How long are they going to be there and how long will they be activated? But the other thing is if you look at parklets and parks period, one of the things that downtown is visibly, noticeably, and whenever anyone comes down there is actually permanent trees and things like that. So whereas these are going to be obviously, you know, even for a few years, going to be temporary structures, they are going to be structures on top of other structures on top of, you know, things. And I'm wondering if they're a long-term vision or a long-term idea that has trees and actual natural things coming back into downtown, or is it just, okay, let's just keep putting stuff on top of stuff. And again, I totally support, you know, this particular effort. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I obviously I agree with the vision. I'm not prepared to answer like the permanency in the long term. I probably will have to just defer back to the business community, back to the boards, Downtown Inc. and Santa Ana Business Council, get their ideas. I want to give a special thanks to Ryan Smolar because he's the one that came up with this like amazing vision for 3rd and Broadway. And at first, you know, the Public Works was not receptive, PD was not receptive, OCFA. And I think that little by little, folks are just adapting to the new norm of closing streets, of activating areas in different ways. Yes, yeah. And I shared that with the designer, Ryan. Thank you for sharing that. Because they really liked the idea of adding artist easels and different things like stages and that sort of. So I've learned that the city likes to chew on things very slowly and ingest things like
Really?
bit at a time. So I can't just throw it all at them. And it's just been a journey little by little, but hopefully we can get to that point where we can pay for the maintenance of like landscaping, things like that. You know, I think of Jose Romo's team and Clean and Safe and how we have to maintain these parklets clean because it's not just going to be 5. It's going to be more than a dozen. It's going to be quite a bit.
Yeah.
Julie,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like to ask what the thought process is on porta potties, because as the parklets and the changes to Broadway and 3rd Street are occurring, we're seeing an abundance of people needing restrooms because like Copper Door, they're not going to walk from where they're at all the way around the corner to Copper Door. They need porta potties.
That's a good question. I can ask the restaurants to instill portable restrooms like the nicer ones and get them serviced every day. It's just that we continue to, but yes, thank you, Yvonne. I'll work on that.
Thank you.
And I have something else I wanted to add is that as a resident of downtown, it was really a shock to see that 3rd Street was completely blocked off. That was my way home all the time. And so it would really be nice if the city reached out to the residents. Hey, this is what's going on. We're closing the street. It's going to be a while. So, you know, it just would have been nice to have gotten a heads up as a resident of downtown. So if you
that was my fault, Tish. I should have done a better job about communicating. I do want to let you know that the tentative design for 3rd and Broadway includes a walkway. Actually, 1 lane closest to Chapter 1 and Copper Door will be, you know, tables, chairs, and more decorative. But then the other lane will serve as a fire lane and we'll just have turf and be more walkable space. It won't have tables and chairs and things of that nature. So hopefully we can accommodate the pedestrians a little bit better. But I hear you. I should do better.
It's not
communicating that.
so much the pedestrians, it's the driving, you know,
Uh,
so it's just, you know, it would have been nice. But I appreciate, I know you and I spoke about it, but it just would have been nice to have gotten all the residents some kind of a nixle, a flyer, a postcard, something to say, hey, we're closing the street. You're gonna have to figure out another way to drive home. That's all. Thank
Make
you,
sure to do
Julie.
that. As
And
soon as we
Julie,
get the build outs, well, I'll do a global notification.
and
with
I
my-
just personally want to thank you because what you've been doing for the downtown, you know, along with Ryan and everyone else who's been involved, Madeline, you've been doing an exceptional job of keeping us, you know, with people coming and just, I just want to applaud you. So thank you.
Thank you, Tish. I appreciate it. I love what I do.
Julie, I have a question that piggybacks on Dean's question about trees and that sort of thing. At one point, Octa did a presentation for us where they kind of laid out the landscaping changes to 4th Street and all of that. Does the Parklet plan change any of that? And is that conversation going on with Octa in any way?
OCTA is not aware that I got the money and is not aware that I'm doing Parklets yet. I'm waiting. This week I should get the designs and I have to run it by them because I don't know their construction schedule. They do things on an impromptu basis sometimes, and they're not going to focus on any landscaping or beautification on both sides of the 4th Street. They're only going to do it on one side of 4th Street. So yeah, the Australian willow trees. They'll elongate the sidewalks on the south side of 4th, but the north side sidewalk of 4th Street is going to get nothing added to it. So this Parklet idea, like the long-term idea of Parklets, might be our opportunity to make it more beautiful. This is great conversation. I'm so glad that you guys are giving me this info.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think right now it looks like a challenge, but really it's an opportunity because it's a couple of years down the road and it's an opportunity to think about it. Because yeah, we do want people to come and we want them to be comfortable and we want it to be beautiful and we want a lot. So thanks for advocating for it all.
Yeah, thank you.
Julie, I had a question. We saw that another lamppost fell down in the promenade, and I know we talked about previously some of them might have some rust, and I was just curious, do you think any of the new CARES Act money could help repair any of those if more others need repairing?
I'd have to check to see if CARES will allow us to repair them with that money. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, those lampposts are expensive and they're hollow. When I saw it go down, I was like, there's like $12,000 and at least a year to get it replaced. Luckily, this one is not like in a restaurant where it's vital. But it's in the queue. Public Works is the one that typically has the money to replace those. The one at Congregation Ale House, I thought we were going to have to pay for it like in my department and we didn't. Public Works absorbed it. So I'm just going to continue to remind them to fix it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Julie? Okay, with that, we'll go to the consultant report. Ryan.
Okay, all right. I am gonna, instead of going through everything that we've been doing, since a lot of stuff is peppered throughout the OCTA report and stuff like that, I wanted to show you something we've been working on that we're really excited about. And it was mentioned earlier about the blue lot. And actually Downtown Inc. Originally was one of the partners that opened up the blue lot as an event space about almost 10 years ago. And it's been managed by a gentleman who is in the community, and it's been an incubator for a lot of events. We talked about the need to clean up some of those activities around the property, but those events have led to some of the businesses that incubated there becoming brick and mortars in downtown. So it's a really interesting pipeline where some of the activity there has not only brought customers, but has actually started businesses in downtown, Munchies being one of them that came out of the OC Vegan Fest. And Madeline, over the last year with the city, helped Ruben get a more like a temporary permit based on a pilot program the city was having, where they could have more events there. But in order to get to the next level, Ruben needed to generate a more solid plan that could get approved through the fire department and planning department. And so we were able to recruit some helpers through Placemaking US, the network that we're in. And we have a helper, Tina Govan from Placemaking Studio Raleigh, and Candace Yee from M Group Urban Planners. And they've been working with Ruben and us to develop a more solid plan to evolve that space into a true pod of activity, a garden, staging, food, vendors, and just doing an amazing job helping us convey what this space could be, as it is major frontage for us on First Street, which has about 25,000 cars going by it a day. And really the flavor of downtown isn't that evident on First Street. And so we really got behind this as a showcase piece to show off what all of downtown is all about. And I wanted to show you some of these awesome renderings that the team had come up with. We're trying to get them engaged in several ways in downtown. So also, for example, we're working on a public space activation visioning with them. These are some graphics from Long Beach, California, which recently went through a similar process to re-envision how they run their concessions along their beachfront. And so they have multiple public spaces along their beachfront, similar to how we have multiple public spaces, our parks, our plazas, our promenades, our paseos. And how do we enliven that space with signage, activity, potentially retail or food businesses, and make each of these places permanently active, not just active during the rare occasion of a special event. And so what we've seen in other public spaces is very transformative, and the introduction of leasable space into public space also can help pay for that public space, can help ensure that, for example, the public restrooms that we've built can be open for more hours during the day and servicing people. Similar like what you were saying, Yvonne, about the need for porta potties. We have bathrooms that are closed a lot of the time because we don't have that perfect balance of activation along with them. And so this is just something that they started playing with right now, or very loose, but it's really exciting to have the attention of these placemakers, and they're helping us for free doing this work. And we're in conversations all the time as to how we can do this. But we have a very high threshold for success on this. We recognize that we don't want to detract any business from a brick and mortar. So these public space plans have to have the full support of the areas around them, businesses around them, and be adding customers and lifeblood to the area. But it's a really great time to be looking at stuff like this, because, for example, at this corner, there's going to be 2 trolley stops for the OCTA. And at current, the space doesn't have a lot of the amenities it needs to be inviting. We recently did a survey of some of the spaces of downtown with some local residents, and they, for example, love 4th Street Market, the new 4th Street Market, but they weren't so crazy about some of our public spaces that lacked shading, that lacked bathrooms, that lacked enclosure and things to do. So we're really excited. In addition, that team is working on a memorial of the burning of Chinatown. And I can't show you the renderings yet because we haven't gone back to the property owner, but this is a really exciting and important work that is undone from 1905 when the Chinatown, which was at the block of 3rd and Bush, was burned down. So we're really excited about that. We're also working with Madeline and Santa Ana Business Council and some local mom groups, Mommies Unidos and Professional Women Group, Amigas Social Club, on a Kid Mayor campaign. And so kids are sending us in videos as to how they would improve downtown if they were in charge. And some of the videos are cute, some of them are really touching, but it's really, really interesting to hear how we can bring out the whole family and make downtown a place people want to stay all day long with their family. And if you have any questions on those programs, you can talk to me now, or we can talk as we go on if you want to get more involved. But essentially, we're just meeting regularly with local stakeholders on the ground and these outside experts, and just coming up with ideas and plans and sharing them and seeing what directions and ways we can move with these opportunities.
Ryan, first off, I really want to thank you for all the everything that you're doing. It's just mind-blowing what the ideas you're coming up with. And I also really want to thank you for doing something regarding the Chinese, and because that has been one of the things that I have been, you know, really advocating for. Can I ask you what groups are you working with?
Yes, so Dylan Almadrell, who was in the history room, is leading up the project, and he's renting a space in the old City Hall building, which is where John Gotthold is the property owner. He's working with 2 regional Chinese groups. I can't recall the name, and then the other is there's a store, the oldest continuously owned and operated Chinese store in Santa Ana since 1948, that family.
Okay, do you know that there's a very large Chinese population downtown and the senior community? So you know how I always toot my horn about getting the seniors involved. And so I really, I can hook you up with Jennifer Wayne. I don't know if you've already reached out to her regarding how to get maybe the seniors involved or her organization involved in that.
Absolutely, we love it. I'll hit you up right after this and send you offline some of the drawings, and we can get talking with them.
Perfect, thank you.
Ryan, thank you, Tish. Anyone else? Questions for Ryan? Okay, well, I'm gonna go on the president's report then. I just have a few things. I guess first and foremost, I would just say that our election's coming up next week. So, you know, if you live in the city, please vote. Let your voice be heard, whatever that vote goes. And I would just say, obviously, anyone that is good for downtown and advocates for downtown is probably someone we'd like to, you know, support. But again, that's obviously up to everyone and their individual viewpoints. I'd also like to thank Julie for just really kicking ass and hustling and, again, advocating for us. And I mean, guys, $750,000 that wasn't there just all of a sudden magically appeared, and that didn't happen on its own. I know Julie's been working behind the scenes to really push that, and again, really commendable for her to do that and pull that off. She's also been fighting for our parking revenue, for our merchant fund, I mean, everything. So I just can't thank her enough, and I hope we all understand that really she's going to bat for us and sticking her neck out, and it's obviously the results are happening. So thank you for that, Julie. I also like to thank Ryan, as Tish alluded to, with all his placemaking stuff he's working on. I mean, some of this stuff is mind-blowing, and I mean, where you come up with these ideas and everything else is crazy. Now we just got to execute some of these and again, further kind of develop these ideas and take them to the next level. And I think that's what the next steps are. So that's really all I had to add. If anyone has any questions for me, let me know. I would say one thing on the real estate front. We're starting to see a little more activity from a office leasing standpoint, from a retail standpoint. I'm actually touring a group today that is coming from Northern California to look at doing a really cool concept in the downtown. And I don't know if we'll be able to get them, but it's their second visit. They're flying down today. So definitely some momentum on a positive note. And especially with COVID, you'd think that would go away, but I think people realize that, you know, this is going to eventually turn around. And if you want to get a good piece of real estate and get a good deal on it, this is the time to do it. So I think it's created some, again, some activity for people that, you know, see downtown as an opportunity, big picture. So I think that's very positive. With that, we have 2 action items to talk about today. The first is, well, I'll let Ryan explain them. He's better knowledgeable on the details. So Ryan, if you want to just kind of share what we're talking about here.
Sure. And we have a guest presenter, Mike Cano, who's going to go through this proposal. But
morning.
Essentially, some of the background on this is, you know, we met Mike when we were doing our Santa Ana Media Summit a few years ago. And he volunteered to come speak as he was leading up Excelsior newspaper for the OC Register. And as you guys know, I'm involved in Long Beach a lot as well. And one of the business areas, the 90805 area, was able to get a grant from an economic development, equity economic development entity in the city. And they hired Mike's team to go door to door and work with the businesses on their marketing, their website, their CARES and CARES Act funding, PPE funding. And they had an incredible transformative effect on the way that they were able to engage each business and really get them through to the finish line of many important tasks that are really challenging, for many businesses to go through on their own, and even challenging for the bid to engage the businesses on. And so there was actually a report in Long Beach on tracking the recovery. And while almost every area in Long Beach suffered a 12 to 70% decrease in small business revenues, this area where Mike's team worked had a 40% increase in small business revenues in that time. And so Mike's going to go ahead and go through some of what they did and what he could do for us. Another thing that this parallels really well is, as you guys may recall, the Santa Ana Business Council and Madeline led the acquisition of some software, like a CRM, customer relationship management software, so we could have better tracking of who our property owners are, who our business owners are. And we've populated that database with the tax roll data from the county and from the city, but it's still pretty poor as far as if you wanted to get a hold of somebody right away or get a quick glance and see, what a company's social media looks like and all of that. And at the end of this process, that database could be completely filled up with all types of information from the owner to the manager to cell phones. And so we were very impressed with the final result of this process that Mike did in Long Beach. SABC is really interested in this process and in partnering with us to fund Mike's team to engage with us for a period of time. And so, Mike, I'll hand it off to you. I have your presentation up. If you want me to flip through it, you just let me know.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to go ahead. Good morning again to everybody. I really appreciate your time of having me here and kind of share the success stories that we had in Long Beach. So essentially what we did in Long Beach is the Long Beach Center for Economic Inclusion, wanted to really do some great things in 90805 because a lot of, very multicultural community in there. So basically we've got a team. There's actually 6 of us now. And so it's myself, Rina, Jeff. We've got a lot of experience in working with local businesses. I personally myself, about 30 plus years in helping small businesses to thrive. My career was mostly in media. So I worked at the Register, the LA Times, but mostly in the business side, working with small businesses. And so basically this is our team. And so what we're proposing essentially for Santa Ana is that we do the same kind of work that we did for Long Beach. And basically that is to make ourselves available to all of the businesses. And the way that we do that is basically literally go door to door and leave a flyer indicating that if they need help in terms of coaching, support with any of their technical in terms of the web, Google My Business, social media. So basically offer our services, our list of services to the local businesses. So what we do is we basically go door to door, put together, give them the flyer. And then what we do is the ones that respond, and even the ones that don't respond, we do an outreach and phone calls, emails. And then the ones that need the help, we assess their needs, we work with them, and everything from loans, grants, city programs, state and federal programs. So we help them with all of that sort of programs. And we do one-on-one coaching. Most of the time we found that it takes about 2 to 3 one-on-one coachings to really get to engage with the business owner, understand their needs and be able to help them. And so we do the phone calling, the one-on-ones. We assess kind of where the business's opportunities are in terms of not only from acquiring new clients and marketing, and everything that we do is obviously at no cost. So we do have a lot of people that take advantage. We found that there's a lot of small businesses that, especially during difficult times like the ones that we have right now, they really don't know what to do in terms of how to better their relationship with their customers, how to acquire new customers. And so we help them with all of that information. So one of the things that we're also proposing is to help that database. We had a list of 27,000 names in Long Beach, and only about 8,000 had emails. So we helped to build that database to make sure that it has all of the relevant information that's usable for outreach in terms of emails, or just being able to communicate with the businesses. So we collect all of that information. We obviously report back. We get some media coverage where necessary. We did get a lot of good media in Long Beach. There's no reason why we wouldn't be able to get that in Santa Ana, particularly with some good success stories. And the way that we report back, basically in person to the board, to Ryan, we give written proposals, we update the data, and we give all the information that you need. So really the bottom line, it's about the small business. How can we help them? And what do they need? We provide all the information. So in terms of grants, we work with a lot of programs like the Kiva. If you've had the Kiva program, we did some really good Kiva programs, which is a sort of like a crowdfunding program for small businesses. So that essentially it is the plan. I'd like to answer questions. This would be like a 3-month program. And on here, you'll see some of the creative. We do everything in Spanish and English because we realize some small businesses prefer to do, to be able to, they just feel more comfortable in Spanish. So we have collateral, we build collateral where necessary, resource books, everything is online. And here are some of the success stories. We help to build some websites for some small businesses. We either show them how to do it or we get resources so that it can be done for them. So, both on desktop, the CRM, it's what you're looking at here, very robust CRM. We're very familiar with those platforms. I'd be very interested in seeing how we can make yours better so you have really good usable data. So this is part of the CRM that we built. And so these are some of the success stories. We actually did some signage for small businesses. The Long Beach area that we worked was a very economically challenged area, but as you saw, we had like a 40% growth when everybody else was shrinking. I think of that, a lot of that was because of the connectivity that we had to the business owners and the way we were able to communicate very quickly to them. This is just an example of one of the success stories that we had in Long Beach. They were going to close their doors. And we helped them to get the Great Play program. Instead of closing the doors, they actually hired 6 additional people for their businesses. Very successful. It's a brother and sister team. So they were just, during difficult times, they were actually growing. And so, yeah, the Great Play program, they basically did breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 75 families every single day from 2 of their restaurants. And this just kind of shows you the growth that we did in 90805. As you can see that basically that was the area that we were really focused on. And initially we started working with just restaurants because that's all that really was open at the beginning of COVID. And we did this right at March. And we were able to really support the restaurants. And then later on, we opened up to all businesses. Yeah, you can skip that. This is some of the news media coverage that we got. And so essentially, this is a program to really support the businesses at no cost to them so that they can not only really just do well, but they can really thrive during these challenging times. So open to questions. If I went a little quick, there's a lot of material there, a lot of details, but that's pretty well much it. And so we really are excited about working with Santa Ana. I live here in Orange County, worked for many, many, many years in Santa Ana. I've got a lot of good friends in Santa Ana, a lot of business owners and people that I've worked with there for at least 25 plus years.
Thank you. Ryan, do you have anything to add or?
Hey, Ryan.
No, if anyone has any questions, they're welcome now. Otherwise, we would like to vote to approve half the funding for Mike and his team to work here for a 3-month period, which is what they did in Long Beach in order to get those goals accomplished. The total contract amount is $12,500 and our share would be $6,250. And this would be from OCTA funds since it's marketing and outreach expansion.
I'll move the motion.
I'll second it.
Then just to clarify, before we vote, does anyone have any questions, concerns I mean, I personally think that having a good database is really important. I think for a long time we tried to build it, but to actually have one that we can really use and utilize. I mean, as we know, and many of you probably know or don't know, but trying to get a hold of people is like pulling teeth. And if we can get the right contacts for the right people and have the right managers and everything else, I think there's a huge value in that. I mean, for me personally, even at 4th Street Market, I have 15 vendors. I can't get one of them to respond to me. I'll even offer them free stuff and they don't respond to me. So I think getting the right contacts, getting that right, hand holding, if you will, I think is important. I think, is what we probably need. So I'm in favor of it and I support it as well, but I just wanted to make sure that if anyone else had any feedback or thoughts or concerns, I just want to make sure we discuss it before we vote.
Yeah, just a question. I have a quick question.
Sure.
We're approving 6,250 today. Where does the other 6,250 come from?
So the Santa Ana Business Council has agreed to match the contribution. So we will be splitting with them and they will effectively, it's for the benefit of the entire downtown so that, obviously we both share on that, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
And I wanted to throw something in there as well, especially during the protest. And many of the vendors were not aware of what was going on. And some of them, I even heard, well, if we had only known. And so this is such a good way to be able to reach out to those businesses that normally don't, they feel left out. So this is a great way to be able to have that network. So that's one of the reasons why I'm in favor of this.
Thank you, Tish. Anyone else have any concerns, feedback, thoughts prior to voting? Okay, well, if not, I know we had a first. Who first? Who was Tish? Were you the first? Is there a second?
Yvonne.
Yvonne, you second? Okay, is all in favor?
That was me.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Raise your hand. Ryan, if
Aye.
you can make sure we got the votes. I can't see everybody here, but any opposed? Okay, I believe we passed here, but Ryan, if you can just verify and count the numbers, I appreciate that. Okay, we have one other thing to vote on as well. This is for the street pole banners. As Ryan mentioned earlier, we put up banners along 1st Street. Those went up, and thank you, Gene, for all your efforts on that. They turned out beautiful. There are now a proposal to have banners added along Main Street as well as the peripheral of downtown. Ryan, if you could just explain kind of what the game plan is and the thoughts behind that before we vote, please.
Absolutely. So as mentioned, we worked with Gene Jimenez to put up on 1st Street about 8 or 10 banners that are the 100-year story of his family in Santa Ana. They look amazing. The version you see on the left actually wasn't the final version because of the lettering changed, as you can see. But those were the ones that we selected as first. And since these type of projects are so successful and really placemaking, the vendor from the who puts these up actually proposed to us a more complete plan. So whereas we just put up the ones on 1st Street, and as you guys might remember, we have the ones all in the Artist Village, they proposed that we put them up North Main, up and down North Main up to 11th, and that we put banners along the border between downtown and the Civic Center along Ross and along Santa Ana Boulevard. So Gene had submitted multiple different banners that were all in the same look universe, but had different content. And so what we're proposing is to put along Main Street the historic buildings look, and it would have the new lettering, not this old lettering. So along North Main would have historic buildings, and then on the border with Ross and Santa Ana Boulevard, it would be more this evolution look that SABC really loved. This look, and it actually it's reflective of a lot of the architecture at the Civic Center, which is also very indigenous based. There's temple buildings, and City Hall is covered with that stone mural as well. So the proposal before you is to approve $7,500. It would be 50 new poles getting banners, double banners, so 100 new banners. And the idea is that North Main would be the historic banners, and the Ross and Santa Ana Boulevard would be the evolutionary look.
Now to clarify again, SABC will be splitting this with us as well, correct, Ryan?
Yes, the total cost of the project is about $14,000 or $15,000, and SABC will be splitting the costs in half with us.
Good
Well,
question.
And is this using the artwork that we were just shown, which is all Jean's artwork?
That's the idea.
Oh, I love it.
I have a question. What happens like if the wind knocks it down? Who's responsible for replacing it? And do we have replacement of the banners in the budget for that?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if they've ever blown down. There's a specific hardware that gets installed that seems like pretty tight. The ones in the Artist Village started looking pretty bad after 10 years or so,
Right.
but most of the banners seem okay. The printing is not that expensive either, and we essentially it's a permit process. So the city is permitting us to utilize those banners. So I don't think that there's any liability issue. Yeah, if there's replacements, I think we can print one and have it added. The big expense is when they put them up, they have to file a lane closure permit, and that's about $750. I think
Whoa.
we may have had that waived by Julie, but I'm not sure in the past. But that would be the challenge of fixing like one banner, for example.
I love the banners. Jean, beautiful artwork.
Thank you.
I think the banners look outrageously good as well, but I'm guessing that the concept is to promote the downtown area, correct? I mean, it seems fairly obvious. And I think I just have a bad graphics card. I'm waiting on a new computer. I mean this seriously, and I couldn't draw my way out of a paper bag. But in the vision I was seeing, or in the exhibit I was seeing, the downtown word looked pretty muted relative to everything else. It's just a comment to maybe take a look at that. If you look at it and it looks like it clearly says downtown in a way that accomplishes the goal, then sorry for my bad graphics. But that's just one thing that caught my eye.
No, you're correct. And the text, the way it was, those we like the designs, but the text had been evolved. So those designs are old. The new text is got the downtown Santa Ana on a black bar.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Anyone have any other questions regarding the banners? Questions, concerns, thoughts?
I make a motion, we accept and move forward.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our motion passes. Thank you. We're going to skip the vacated seats because we have a few changes that are happening right now. Ryan and I want to sort out what's actually going on and make sure we know how many seats we have coming available, and we'll deal with that next meeting. So with that,
But just Ryan, just announced though that Omar from Fur Friends, who joined our board, his store closed, so he's stepping down from the board. That's the update.
Got it. Yeah, unfortunately, the reality on the ground is people are having tough times. So that's just the reality we're dealing with. So if does anyone else have any questions, comments, announcements, new businesses, etc.?
Quick comment,
Yes.
So Toll Brothers is still on track to do this project. We didn't start it when we thought we might. COVID disrupted our timing, particularly it shut down the equity market. So on any big project like this, which is effectively $110 million project, give or take, Toll puts in more capital than any other developer like us, but we get construction loan, and we also have kind of a insurance company or pension fund make an investment, and they sort of shut down for business, not surprisingly, over the last 6 months. We're going out for that equity now. We've submitted on our demo permit, excavation permit, shoring permit, and so we're sort of all queued up to go, but making a big push with lots of meetings and phone calls where I have to sit there and tell everybody, no, you don't get this. This is the hippest, coolest, best part of not just Orange County, but of Southern California in general. Not the greatest storyteller in the world, so I like lots of cheat sheets and notes and exhibits in front of me. And so there's some obvious things I can do. I go to the Downtown Inc. Website. I look at the newsletter, some of the information that came out during today's call, those exhibits. I got to go look at the package again. But I'm happy to take anything that anybody thinks says this is a really special place and it's heading for really great directions. Even things like the banners that we just saw, if I had those at my fingertips, I might put those into a short PowerPoint as to just, this is an area on the rise. It's not your father's, no, well, never mind, I'm not going to say that, but it's,
Don't go there.
yeah, it's super special and beyond anything else in Southern California. So I welcome anything that anybody wants to send my way to, you know, I'm not getting down there as much because of COVID. I know I'm missing things. The stuff that Julie was presenting on these parklets from our perspective is incredibly wonderful and good. And so we're going to be pushing that. And I'm just giving you guys a heads up in case you have some good thoughts.
Absolutely. And Michael, as I've always told you, if you ever need a tour or cheerleader to come join you down there, happy to do it. And if anyone has any sort of, you know, anything they can share, as Michael asked, you know, please send it over to him. But, you know, frankly, this is probably one of the most important projects to ever happen downtown, if ever. And once a crane goes up and, you know, things start happening, it's going to be a really big deal for all of us. So, you know, just can't stress the importance of that project for the downtown as a whole. And, you know, wishing you the best and getting that going soon.
Michael,
Yeah,
do you
the project.
the Northgate renderings for the building on the corner there that they're building?
Do I have them? Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, though. And that's those are the sorts of things to give me a heads up on in case I'm asleep at the wheel and didn't realize that they just got through their planning commission approvals. The project's going to happen. We are going to do it. It will for sure. I just want it to happen last month, not 6 months from now. And so
Great.
that's kind of what we're trying to do. I have the same sense of urgency that the rest of you do.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments? Anyone have anything? Yes, Tish.
Well, I just wanted to let everybody know that I have put my condo up on the market. That means that I'm going to be actually moving out of the city. I'm going to be moving back home to San Diego once my condo is sold. Yvonne is my wonderful realtor, so I'm expecting, you know, hopefully some good news soon. But that I'm just going to stay as long as I can with Downtown Inc. And I've always loved this group. I have lost friendships over being part of this board, but you know, I those friendships I guess weren't real. This is real.
Sure.
This is my life. This is my community, and Ryan, I've always appreciated you asking me to be on this board many years ago. So I just wanted just to throw that out there, and I will say my goodbyes once we have my big going away party.
Well, Tish, we wish you nothing but the best. And I think, you know, like you said, you've been a community-oriented advocate for downtown and for the city for so long. And it's been a pleasure to have you on our board. And look, I think that, not to say we don't disagree a lot or agree a lot, but I think your perspective is very valuable and really has been able to open our eyes and perspective to maybe another viewpoint, or if you will, in the downtown. And it's been very valuable. And, you know, you're not hesitant to speak your mind, which is good. And we appreciate that. So whether you're on the board or not, you know, I know you still have your ear to the ground. And if you hear anything, you know, please keep us in mind. So we want to know what's going on. And, you know, again, you bring a great perspective. So thank you again. We wish you nothing but the best. And, you know, San Diego ain't the worst place to be going either. So you'll be all right.
No, not at all. That's where I was born and raised. So I'm just going back home.
Good to hear. Well,
And guys, if you guys know of anybody, $299.9 for her condo, 2 bedrooms, walking distance.
That's a deal. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, feedback? If not, thank you all for being here. We'll adjourn the meeting at 10:15. We will get you a schedule for the upcoming calendar year. And as always, if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, you know where to find myself, Ryan, Julie, Jose, etc. So again, thank you all for your time. Have a great day. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.